Are you looking for a new Philips shaver but ain't sure which one to get? You've come to the right place. We've taken a closer look at the differences between the individual series, and you'll find out everything you need to know in this video. So just stay tuned. Let's get started with our Philips shaver comparison. Included are the manufacturer's most popular series, namely the Series 3000, 5000, and 7000, as well as the Series 9000 Prestige. There is one major difference that we will mention straight away, and that is the price. As you can already imagine, this is in an increasing order, starting with the inexpensive Series 3000 for around $50, up to the high-priced Series 9000 Prestige, which costs several $100s. You can find the links to the products below the video in the description, and if you want to find out more about one of the shavers individually, we've also linked our detailed reviews for you there. So let's now start with our features and technology section. First, let's talk about the operating principle of the shavers, which is basically the same for all of them. The Philips devices are all rotary shavers, which means that they have a total of 3 rotating blades arranged in a triangular pattern. The blades are built into movable plates, which, together with the movable shaving head, allow the shavers to follow the contours of the face well. What the shavers also all have in common is that they can be used for both dry and wet shaving, and are also waterproof, which means that they can also be used in the shower. They all come with a battery runtime of 60 minutes. The Series 3000, 5000, and 7000 then need just as long, so 60 minutes, to fully recharge the battery. If you're running low, there's even a quick charge function which charges for 5 minutes and gives you enough power to complete a short shaving cycle. Only the Series 9000 Prestige stands out negatively here, as it is anything but quick with a charging time of 180 minutes and a 18 minutes quick charge function, at least in comparison to the other Philips series, but at least it comes with a battery indicator. So the 9000 scores some points. While the other series come with a simple 3-stage display, the Prestige shows the battery level in detail as a percentage. This makes it easy to plan when the device needs to be recharged. Sadly, none of the appliances offer a corded use. Accordingly, none of the shavers will work when they are in charging mode. To prevent the battery from discharging accidentally, the devices from the Series 5000 upwards also come with a key lock. Simply press and hold the on button for a few seconds and nothing can happen, even in a suitcase or travel bag. Only the Series 3000 lacks this feature. But in our opinion, this is acceptable for its price point. The Series 3000, 5000, and 7000 appliances have an integrated precision trimmer for fine trimming or pre-trimming. This can be folded out as required and is simply pushed back into its original position when your work is done. The Prestige also has something for trimming, but it only can be attached. This means that you first have to remove the shaving head and then push the trimmer head onto it. Considering the price, we have to say that this is a little more complicated than with the other series, which is not as nice in the end. As far as the built-in features are concerned, on the other hand, it is clearly price-oriented. If you opt for the cheaper series, you will essentially have to make do with the basic device, as no special features have been built in. If you pay a little more and get the Series 5000, you at least get a hair density sensor that adjusts the cutting performance to the beard density. If you spend a few bucks more for the Series 7000, you get a special coating on top of the hair density sensor, which is supposed to reduce friction on the skin and thus skin irritation. The Prestige also has this coating, but instead of the hair density sensor, we have the option of setting the shaving intensity manually. You can choose between the sensitive, normal, and fast settings. There is also a more powerful motor, which means you have a little more power at your disposal. As far as accessories are concerned, the shavers are also generally well positioned within their price range. The Series 3000 only comes with a protective cap, travel pouch, and the power supply unit. The Series 5000 comes with a power supply unit, travel case, brush and cleaning station, as well as a cleaning cartridge on top. The Series 7000 is similar, with the only exception of it having a charging station. This could indeed have been a bit more. The Prestige, on the other hand, shows its strength and comes with an attachable comb attachment for shaving longer hair, as well as a large travel hard case, with plenty of space for all accessories. There's also a charging pad for wireless charging on top. The bottom line is that the Series 9000 Prestige scores a few more points. Nevertheless, the overall rating for features and technology goes to the Series 7000. Better battery values and the fold-out precision trimmer were the deciding factors for us. In addition, the Series 7000 was the only shaver in our test that could be linked to an app, namely the Philips GroomTribe app. This means that the shaver can also partially compete with the 9000 in terms of features. By the way, if you want to find out more about the Philips shavers, then take a look at the description below the video. You'll find all the links there. And if the video was helpful to you, please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. We then took a closer look at the shavers in our practical test. There's nothing to complain about in terms of workmanship. All the parts fit neatly together and make a well-made impression. With Philips shavers in particular, it has to be said that the devices look a little more fragile than with the competitor devices from Braun, but in the end, it's still okay. Other than that, the Series 5000, 7000, and 9000 have a slim handle design. Only the Series 3000 seems a little chunky. All in all, however, all the shavers sit comfortably and securely in the hand. In terms of operation and handling, the shavers all benefit from the fact that the blades and shaving head are movable. Only the Series 3000's shaving head's movement is somewhat limited, but on the whole, all shavers follow the contours of the face well. This is a fundamental advantage of the rotary shavers, which is why they work particularly well on angled areas, such as the chin. The disadvantage, on the other hand, is that rotary shavers are somewhat more difficult to use than foil shavers. This is because of the special technique which you have to use in which you move over the skin in small circular movements. You do get used to this technique over time, but it's not always so easy to do and can be a bit tiring. Apart from that, there's not much to consider when operating the device. Everything works simply and intuitively. For those who still find the circular movements a little awkward, the Series 7000 comes with a little gimmick along the way. The shaver has a motion control display. This tells the user whether they are making the right movements. If this display is not enough, you can also try the Groom Tribe app. Here you have the option of starting a guided shave, which shows you even more precisely whether you are making the right movements. You can also see how many cycles the cleaning station has left, work with the app to avoid skin irritation, and get tips on different beard styles. The style mirror is quite funny, allowing you to get an impression of which beard style suits you best. All in all, the app is a nice extra. It's a shame that only the Series 7000 offers this option. The aforementioned precision trimmer is a useful extra in the daily routine. In our opinion, this works very well on all appliances. It's just a shame that the trimmer can only be attached from above on the Series 3000, 5000, and 7000 models. If you attach it from below instead, it simply folds away. This works a little better with the Prestige, although you have to attach the trimmer first. But at least it's fixed when in place. The fact that you can use it not only as a trimmer, but also as a shaver for longer hair with different length settings is an added bonus. Simply attach the comb attachment and set the desired length using the small lever on the back. Ultimately, the Prestige offers a wider range of uses than the other series. A major strength of the Philips appliances is that they are all very comfortable to work with. In terms of weight, the shavers are absolutely fine at around 190 to 200 grams. The vibration in the handpiece is not really worth mentioning with any of the devices, and the blades get lukewarm on the skin after 2 to 2.5 minutes of shaving at best. The Philips shavers are also among the quieter devices in terms of their volume. The Prestige scores particularly well here, but the other series also do very well. Ultimately, none of the shavers exceed 60 decibels. We only have to make some compromises in terms of the noise impression. All devices sound quite high-pitched, which can be a little annoying. Only the Prestige stands out positively here, in our opinion, with a technically modern sound. And now let's see what our colleague Chris has to say. He put the individual series to the test for us in everyday use and gathered a lot of experience in the process. I have always had a general section in our individual reviews, and of course I would like to do the same in this case, because it is like this. After testing a wide variety of razors for dozens of weeks now, I've come to one key conclusion, and that is, don't believe what the advertising says. They suggest that you go over there once and then it's all gone. And that's simply not the case, regardless of whether you have a razor for 50 or one for several $100. That applies across all devices. Well, what does that mean exactly? Basically, there is a difference between the individual appliances, in the sense that one shaves a little better and the other shaves a little worse. But they all have one thing in common, and that is that they do shave. But in certain places, such as the neck, a few hair may remain. I would therefore recommend that you shave at relatively short intervals, meaning every 1 to 2 days. This way the devices can cope best. If you can't or don't want to do this, then pre-trim your beard at least once and then use the razor for the finishing touches.
Mit dem Rasierer nur noch den Feinschliff. So, kommen
So,
wir
what
ganz
about the
konkret
Philips
zu den
appliances?
Philips-Geräten.
I'll go
Ich
through
gehe
the
die Punkte
points with
einmal
you.
mit euch durch.
First
Erster
point,
Punkt,
all
alle
Philips appliances feel
Philips-Rasierer
very
fühlen
pleasant
sich
on the
auf der
skin.
Haut
I
super
think you can say that
angenehm
up
an.
front.
So viel kann man schon mal sagen. Auch im
Even
Vergleich mit
compared to
anderen
other
Geräten
devices,
ist das
this
so
is one of
mit
the most
einer der
comfortable shaves you
angenehmsten
can get.
Rasuren, die man bekommen kann.
Only
Einzig
the
den
Series
Series
3000 has
3000
to be
müssen wir
left
ein
out a
bisschen
little.
rausnehmen. Der
I
ist
think it's
auch
also
gut
good and
und
very
wie ich
comfortable
finde
on the
auch
skin,
sehr
but I think
angenehm
the
auf
other
der Haut,
three
aber
are a
ich
bit
finde,
better
die
in the
anderen
end.
drei sind ein Ticken besser.
The second
Zweiter
point
Punkt
is the
ist der
design of the
Aufbau des
shaving head.
Scherkopfs. Und das sieht man
Let's
ganz
take a
gut,
look
wenn
at the
man sich hier
Series
mal
7000
so
as an
ein Gerät
example.
nimmt. Ich habe jetzt mal hier als Beispiel den 7000er genommen.
What I want
Und
to
was
get
ich
at is
meine
the
ist,
protruding
hier
structure
vorne
at the
ist der so
front.
ein bisschen
That means that
ausfällig.
there's
Also
a
das
bit of
heißt,
space
zwischen die
between the
Klinge
blade and the shaving
und
head,
dem Ende des Scherkopfes ist so ein bisschen Platz.
which
Und
means
das
that you
sorgt
can't
dafür, dass
see
wenn man
all
vorm
that
Spiegel
well
steht
while
und
you're
sich
standing in
rasieren
front of the
will,
mirror
man
and
gar
want
nicht
to
so genau
shave.
sehen kann,
It
wo man
blocks the
gerade
view
ist.
a little.
Das ist natürlich
This is
nicht so
not so
schön
nice,
und
of
könnte
course, and could
natürlich
have been
besser
better.
sein,
But
aber
that's
ist
only
jetzt
a
auch nur
small
noch zu den
inconvenience in the end.
Erwähnungen. Es sei aber
Nevertheless,
dennoch
it should be
dazu
said that some
gesagt, dass
devices do
einige
have
Geräte das
this, as
haben.
is the
Und
case
das
with
sind
the
in
Series
diesem Fall die Series
7000. The
7000,
same
aber
goes
auch
for the
die
Series
Series
5000.
5000.
The
Die
Series
Series
3000 and
3000 und die
9000
Series
Prestige, on the other
9000
hand, do
Prestige
not have this
haben
issue,
dieses Merkmal
so you can
dagegen
see
nicht.
well where
Hier
you're
kann
working
man
with those
sehr gut
devices.
sehen, wo man gerade ist. Was das
On the
Thema
other hand, all
Hautirritation
Philips
angeht,
devices
sind meiner
performed
Meinung
well as
nach
far
die
as skin irritation are
Philips-Geräte
concerned.
allesamt gut. Nicht
Don't
falsch
get me
verstehen,
wrong,
wenn ich jetzt
you will get
30 Mal
sore
über
spots
eine
if you go
Stelle
over it
gehe,
30
dann ist das
times,
rot, ist klar.
obviously,
Aber ich habe
but I
schon
have
das
the feeling
Gefühl,
that
dass die
the Philips
Philips-Geräte irgendwie
devices
so
somehow
einen
have a basic
Grundschutz
protection
drin
or a
haben oder
structure
so einen
that ensures that you
Aufbau,
have less
der
to do
dafür
with skin
sorgt, dass
irritation and
man
redness.
mit Hautirritation und Rötung ein bisschen weniger zu tun hat. Auch wenn man
Even if
mal
you
in den
take a look
Markt
at the
reinguckt, da sieht
competition on
man,
the
dass
market,
dieser
you can
Punkt so
see
eine
that this point
Stärke der
is one of the
Philips-Geräte
strengths of
ist. Hier
Philips
können sie sich ganz
appliances.
gut
This
absetzen,
is where they can
auch gegen
stand out
andere
quite well,
große Marken, wie
even
zum
against
Beispiel
other
die
big
Firma
brands
Braun.
such as Braun.
Anders
The
sieht das
shaving
auch
result,
beim
on the other hand, is
Rasierergebnis.
different.
Hier haben die
The Philips
Philips-Geräte
devices
es dann
seem
doch
to
ein
have a
bisschen
bit of a
schwer,
hard
sich
time
im Markt
asserting themselves in the
durchzusetzen. Da
market.
gibt es einfach
There are
Geräte,
simply
die
other
haben
devices
ein bisschen
that
mehr
have a bit
Power
more
und
power
machen die
and make
Rasuren
the
doch noch
shave
ein
a bit
bisschen
smoother.
glatter. Aber
But nevertheless,
nichtsdestotrotz haben wir
we
auch
also
gute
have good
Geräte
devices
dabei.
here.
Zum
For
Beispiel der
example, the
Prestige.
Prestige.
Der Prestige kriegt
If
von
I were to use a
mir,
school grading system,
wenn
I
ich
would
jetzt so
give the
ein
Prestige a
Studiensystem
B
machen
grade.
würde, so
I
würde
wouldn't
ich
give
sagen,
it an
so eine
A.
2, eine
It's
1
not that
nicht.
good. We've had better
So gut ist er
devices.
dann doch nicht.
But
Da
I'd
haben wir
still give
bessere
it a B
Geräte gehabt.
nonetheless.
Nichtsdestotrotz, so eine 2 würde ich ihm geben. Die beiden
With the two
mittleren
mid-range
Geräte, also
devices,
der
the
Philips
Philips
5000 und der
5000 and the
Philips
Philips
7000, da würde
7000,
ich
I'd
sagen
say
so
maybe a B or C grade.
2,2 vielleicht. Und
The
der
3000 is a cheap device,
3000,
but I think it's still
günstiges
quite
Gerät,
good.
dennoch, wie ich finde, ganz
In the end,
gut.
I'd
Ich
say
würde
it's still worse
sagen,
than the others.
dennoch
I'd say
schlechter
about a
als
C
die
grade.
anderen. Ich würde sagen so eine 3. Kommen wir
Now we
zum
come to the
Thema
topic of wet
Nassrasur.
shaving,
Und
and this
das
is
ist
another
ein
point
Punkt,
that I
den
think
ich
can be
wirklich
answered across
übergreifend
all
beantworten
devices
kann, weil es da
simply
aus
because
meiner
there
Sicht
weren't that
gar
many
nicht so
differences
große
between the
Unterschiede zwischen
individual
den
shavers.
einzelnen Geräten gab.
Nevertheless, I can summarize
Zusammengefasst
for
will ich
all
da
other
sagen,
devices.
ja, kann man
Yes, you
machen
can do it, and secondly,
und
it works.
funktioniert auch.
But,
Aber,
as I have
das
already
habe ich auch
said
bei
in the
den
individual
Einzeltests
tests,
gesagt,
you also have to
man
ask
muss
yourself,
sich doch
does it
fragen,
make
macht das
any
Ding
sense
überhaupt
at
Sinn?
all?
Und ich persönlich
Personally,
bin der
I
Meinung, wenn
think
ich
that
mir
if I'm
da
going to
schon so
put
ein
some
Schaum ins
shaving cream
Gesicht
on my
mache,
face anyway,
dann
I might
kann
as
ich
well
auch
use
gleich
a
einen
wet shaver
Nassrasierer
and get a
nehmen
better result than with an
und habe
electric
dann
one.
direkt auch ein besseres Ergebnis als mit einem Elektrorasierer. Sinn macht aber das
However,
Ganze
there is an
trotzdem, und
advantage
zwar
for
für
all
all
those who like to
diejenigen, die
shave
sich
in the
gerne unter
shower.
der Dusche rasieren wollen,
You
denn
don't cut
man
yourself as
schneidet sich
quickly.
damit nicht so schnell. Ich will jetzt
I
nicht
don't
den
want to give
Eindruck
the
vermitteln,
impression
dass
that
man
you
sich dann
can't cut
gar nicht
yourself with it,
schneiden kann. Nein, das kann unter Umständen trotzdem passieren,
but not as
aber
quickly
meiner
as with a
Meinung
wet
nach
razor.
nicht so schnell wie mit einem Nassrasierer.
Of course, this
Das
is
ist natürlich
especially
vor allem
advantageous
dann
when you're
gut,
shaving
wenn
in
man
the
unter der
shower
Dusche steht
and don't
und
have a
keinen
mirror
Spiegel zur
available.
Verfügung hat.
If you sum it all up, it becomes clear that the Prestige is ahead in our practical test. While the Series 5000 and 7000 perform almost equally in terms of their shaving performance, the Prestige can actually go take it up a notch in some areas. Other than that, we get a comparable performance when you look at the feeling of safety and skin irritations across all devices. And as a reminder, you can find the links to the individual reviews and to the products below the video in the description. And if the video was helpful to you, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. To ensure that the shavers can do their job for as long as possible, it is of course course, important to clean them regularly. With the Series 3000, 5000, and 7000, you simply press a small button on the front. The shaving head pops up, and you then have the option of carefully tapping the whole thing out and then rinsing it under running water. Basically, this is all easy and no problem. On the other hand, however, we find that the design is somewhat prone to breakage, and that tapping out with the scissor element folded out doesn't work so well. Admittedly, you can pull off the shaving element, but still, we wonder how long this joint will hold. It's a bit better with the Prestige. Here, you simply pull off the scissor element at the recesses provided, making it a little easier to tap out. If you have opted for the Series 5000 or 7000, you can of course also use the included cleaning station. Simply insert the cleaning cartridge, close the lid, place the shaver onto it, and switch it on. Cleaning then takes about a minute, and the shaver is fresh again. Of course, don't forget to let the shaver dry thoroughly afterwards. Depending on how often you use it, the cartridge lasts between 1 and 3 months, which can also be tracked via a small display. Basically, however, it should be said that you don't really need a cleaning station. Cleaning by hand also works very well. Nevertheless, the station is a nice feature, and it is, in our opinion, a bit of a shame that you can't get one with all series. Let's move on to the blades, and as it's often the case with blades, they eventually become blunt. The manufacturer therefore recommends changing the blade system for all series after 24 months at the latest. Until then, however, you should actually have some peace of mind. The blades with all 4 appliances are self-sharpening and therefore counteract wear and tear. The bottom line is that we actually have the same basic rating across the board when it comes to cleaning and maintenance. Only the Series 5000 and 7000 stand out a little thanks to the cleaning station, while the Prestige scores points for its detachable cutting element. On the whole, however, we see the same level here. Let's come to the result of our comparison. Basically, the overall rating shows that the individual series are ranked in an ascending order. Basically, you can say that the higher the series, the higher the quality of the product and the higher the price. This is an important realization that tells us that the products should be clearly differentiated from one another and that the price and performance ratio should be right in the end. However, you can also see that the Series 5000 and 7000 are quite close to each other. A stronger differentiation between the two shavers in terms of their shaving performance, but also in terms of their features and scope of delivery, would have been desirable. The biggest difference between the two devices is probably the app compatibility. So, if you want to choose one of the two shavers and want this feature, you should go for the Series 7000. However, if you don't need the app, the Series 5000 is also a good choice. In our comparison, the Series 3000 positions itself as a solid low-price model. No bells and whistles, all basic but definitely functional. If you are looking for the cheapest model possible, you can't go wrong here, but you will have to do without all kinds of features. You'll also have to accept some compromises in the shaving result and scope of delivery. Don't get the wrong idea, the beard comes off in any case, even with the Series 3000. But the Series 9000 Prestige has a significantly better score for a reason. Overall, it just performed better. It's not that big of a difference in the end, but you can still tell. Whether this little bit better is actually worth 4, 5, or even 6 times the money is something you have to decide, of course. In any case, we think that the overall package seems fair. The features and scope of delivery are definitely premium. Only the battery performance could have been a bit better, at least for its price point. So, we have compared these shavers for you. If you're interested in any of them, take a look at the description below the video. You can find all the links there, including our individual reviews, of course. Otherwise, stay tuned. Our end card will provide a few interesting video suggestions for you.